Hi.
It's about how you got here.
Have you both met Maggie?
No, we haven't.
Hi, I'm Frida.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Satan.
Welcome to Second Class Cinema, the show where we watch a B movie and immediately discuss. We watch it and then immediately discuss it right afterwards.
We sure did.
Like, we go there, we watch the movie, and then we just come right in here and we just talk about it. I want to stress that.
Yeah, we just watched the movie.
Just watched it. Now we're in here and we're talking about it. I'm Tom. I'm here with Brittany and Eric.
Hello.
And there is no Dennis tonight, actually. He had to withdraw from the show. He had a lot of other stuff going on, so we wish him the best of luck.
Good luck, Dennis.
Good luck.
So, yeah, let's say what we watched, which is the 1989 movie, Girlfriend from Hell. This was Brittany's selection, so why don't you tell us why you chose this movie?
I just think I came across it in my extensive research of
Extensive?
which just requires Googling shitty titles that I've already seen and seeing what pops up under related. I skipped through it on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. You know, that same old yarn. And I was like, no, but I kind of wanted to pick it because it seemed like a straight up comedy, which is a departure from what I am usually drawn to. I usually want to do like horror or action or something like super cheesy.
Well, it's funny you say that because you've chosen Society, Flesh Eating Mothers, now this, all the exact same type of horror comedy.
I didn't think Society was really a comedy.
I think it was.
It played it very straight up until the end.
Yes, the end was just fucking zany.
Yeah. I think calling that a comedy would be a little bit of a stretch. It definitely had some dark comedic moments.
Yeah.
I think it was a horror movie with some comedic undertones, and then it just went off the rails at the end.
Yeah, and
All
then
right.
Flesh Eating Mothers was like horror comedy, where I feel like this one was just comedy with like horror undertones.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
The opposite end.
All right, I'll buy it.
But yeah, that was my inspiration.
And that was why. So why don't you sum up what it was about, if at all possible? No, it's pretty simple.
It's basically about this really shy, timid girl who gets possessed by the devil, and she becomes this wild party girl, and she's like out with her friends for a night on the town, and just wreaks havoc and chaos ensues, and it's up to a select few to try to stop her and kill the devil.
That is pretty good.
Yep.
A select few being, our character named Chaser, who is in purgatory.
Yeah, so this movie opens with like a desert landscape, and this guy has like a futuristic taser gun, and he just keeps shooting this like glitterily.
It was like a glitter.
Glitterly.
It's glitterally a pile.
A pile of glitter.
Glittery pile of something. And it morphs into different shapes, and basically that's like the cold opening for this dude is like, he's
like a nerd in a trench coat.
Yeah, he looks like Billy from Power Rangers.
Yeah.
I was like, she's just like a tough guy from Purgatory who's basically trying to rein her in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find all this out like about 70 minutes into this 90-minute movie, which made this movie very confusing.
It did. His role especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed like those segments existed just to give you like a flat out details about the story. He was like, "Oh, this devil, you know, I've been chasing you for so long."
Yeah, nothing had a time frame.
And then it would just flash back to like the party scene, and everyone would be having a great time. I was like, "Why is this even in here?"
I know exactly what's going on. Thanks, exposition.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just so weird.
So, I mean, I guess the movie was kind of all over the place, which kind of, you know,
Every single place it could go. I like don't even know what to say about it. I was like flustered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it too much to handle?
It was. My brain's just like going like a mile a minute. There was just way too much to digest in this movie.
Are we in Robo-Vampire territory now?
No.
Not quite that bad.
Worse.
Worse than Robo-Vampire. A movie that literally makes no sense.
Well, Robo-Vampire made literally no sense.
Yeah.
This movie was just a really simple plot. It was a gag vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like a Warner Brothers cartoon stretched over 90 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't really take itself too seriously, I don't think. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Yeah, so the whole plot was put in place to deliver all these jokes that they wanted to tell, which were all over the place, which didn't always stick. I'd say most of the time didn't stick, at least for me.
It ranged to like really like solid 80s silly absurdist comedy, like for example Airplane, which I'll get to in my favorite parts. And then it just went to like straight up like garbage nonsense comedy, like people falling down.
Oh yeah.
And like they just kind of like jam-packed it with anything they could think of, and it didn't usually pay off.
No,
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing like flowed into everything else nicely.
Yeah, it didn't. There wasn't any like. It wasn't very cohesive. Didn't hang together very well.
It opened with the desert, and then it was like, okay, these 20-somethings are getting ready for so-and-so's birthday. It's their friend Rocco, who's a tough guy.
Oh, he's awesome, by the way.
Obviously, his name is Rocco.
Yeah.
And they're setting up their two friends, one of which is the main character, Maggie, who's the super shy, timid girl, with their other friend, Carl. And I'm using the word friend in the loosest sense of the word, because all these people are terrible to each other. But they're setting Maggie up on a blind date, and it goes terribly wrong, and then a flaming flash of light flies out of the sky and hits her in the chest, and then she's possessed by the devil. Yeah. And that's basically the springboard into the entirety of the movie.
Which is just a broad stroke of attempts at jokes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Though I honestly think the first half hour was fairly cohesive because they were still doing setup.
I agree.
And they were kind of focusing on like this devil character.
Yeah.
And, the exploits that she was getting up to. And I thought the entire movie was going to play out that way. Mm-hmm. And the unfortunate part is it kind of falls off those rails after like the 45-minute mark.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't focus so much on her anymore.
No.
And it's kind of like the good guys trying to defeat her. But
Yeah.
they're just boring idiots.
Yeah, that was. Well, it's our Chaser character, our hunky purgatory guy.
Yeah,
Not
his
that
name
hunky.
is just Chaser because
name is
he is the Chaser.
Yeah, he's chasing devils.
Brilliant.
Yeah, him and the woman, one of her Maggie's best friend or something. It started to focus on them a lot and like their whole relationship in a weird way, and I didn't buy it.
Yeah, it made it seem like they were gonna like hook up or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why they were going there because he was such an awful idiot pig.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
No. Every time a woman said a sentence to him, he was like, "Hey, can I feel your tits?"
Oh, it's always like
Something
women.
equally awful.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, so that was a low point.
I don't know. I got a very weird vibe from this movie. Like, it felt like someone had watched like a bunch of 80s like sex comedies like Porky's and Animal House. They said, I'm going to write mine too, but they didn't know how to write like the alphabet or anything. So they just like threw a bunch of stuff on the paper and just kind of decided what stuck. And the main reason I come to that conclusion is that they literally make a reference to Animal House.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It might be the worst reference I've seen in a movie because they literally reference one of the other actors who was also in Animal House. Chaser looks at the camera and says, I bet she's out with that blonde guy from Animal House. And I know you looked on IMDb and we're like, yep, that guy was in Animal House.
Yeah, we're like, oh my God, I bet that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, on top of everything else, this movie just broke the fourth wall.
A couple times, and like not a good one. And I'm a huge fan of breaking the fourth wall. Like when it's used right, it always makes me laugh. It's always a great piece of comedy. And this one didn't do it right, man. And it's
because they just did it one time.
did
for
it twice.
Did they do it twice?
They did it once then, and then the very last shot of the movie, when the people woke up, or when they
got their souls back.
When they got their souls back, and the devil was gone, and Maggie and her date are back together, and then he looks at the camera like right before it cuts into the galaxy outer space stuff.
Oh, I missed that part.
I did too.
Oh, yeah, he just kind of looks at the camera like,
time to do it again.
But going back to what Eric said about the movie not really knowing like what it was or like going in too many different directions, I felt like it was simultaneously like a USA made for TV movie, but at other times it was so vulgar. Like they had people giving each other head in like the closet.
yeah.
Like, it was like super sexual sometimes and like super vulgar. Then other times it was like really cheesily overacted and just felt like it belonged on USA at like midnight or something.
Dude, that's so funny you say that because There was that midnight show on USA with Rhonda something, right? Midnight with Rhonda or something like that. Do you remember that show?
No.
Okay, it was on.
familiar.
Yeah, no, it was on Late Night USA, and they used to show movies exactly like this.
I wonder if
And
it
when-
was on there.
It totally could have been, but it was funny because when we did this movie reminded me of Flesh Eating Mothers. Same vibe.
Yeah.
Really?
Same exact vibe.
Yeah, totally. Oh my god.
It feels like it's in the same camp. I agree.
Oh, they had very similar vibes going on.
I guess I can see that in the sense that neither one took themselves very serious.
Yeah, it was like slapstick horror, but like not too far of horror. It was more like slapstick comedy horror in a weird way. But no, they live in the same camp. And when I was looking up stuff on Flesh Eating Mothers, someone had said that's the first place they saw that movie was on that
USA Late at Night or
USA
whatever?
Late Night with Rhonda or whatever it's called.
That's really weird.
So there's a connection there because I felt that, and then you said that.
We should look into that.
I would absolutely look into that. You have my word. Anything else?
I think we've gone over like the worst parts of it, like the broad comedy that usually failed. The casual sexism that is just rife in this movie.
It's
Super uncomfortable.
and it's not very casual.
No,
It's
it's in
blatant.
fact, yeah, it's intentional.
Yeah, it's right in your face. But on the topic of the broad comedy strokes, I will chalk that up as not necessarily just a failure, but as a risk as well, because I've got to give them credit for just fucking trying anything.
Yeah.
They just tried everything.
Yeah,
And maybe
it's
it was
a
funny.
risk. I mean, it didn't pan out all the time.
No.
But I suppose it was a risk. And it did pan out sometimes. I mean, I did laugh at this movie a few
Oh,
times.
yeah. Definitely. It's kind of hard not to. I mean, the whole thing's a gag.
Yeah, it
So
really
if you
is.
didn't laugh at it, it didn't do its job, obviously, and maybe this just isn't something you're into.
And see, I was initially going to list overacting as a failure, but now I might add that to risks because I feel like a lot of it must have been intentional
Oh,
to
yeah.
get that like wicked over the top reaction.
Like the super religious couple.
Yes.
So overacted, but
So overacted.
I don't know if I would even care about those characters at all if it was like done subtly or competently.
Yes, exactly.
good
And it's
point,
funny that
yeah.
you say that because under overacted, I wrote power of the Bible. She screams that so zealously.
Yeah, she does that pretty well. So we've gone over some of the, the shortcomings, the risks. We've laughed at this movie. We did have, somewhat of a decent time. Let's talk about some successes. Let's go right into it. Do you have anything, Eric?
I was gonna say the devil via Maggie. I thought that character was a lot of fun. She
Yeah.
was like Lita Ford crossed with Elvira. Like she was just like this '80s party rocker chick, just causing all sorts of mayhem, trying to run down nuns,
Awesome
Yes.
big hair.
starting like a fight with like a karate goon in an alley,
Yeah.
taking people's souls and turning them to the same skeleton dummy every time.
I completely agree. It was like a wicked fun, campy character.
Yeah, I love that character. She was awesome.
Yeah, she did a great job.
She was basically just like a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah,
Like, she was so obnoxious and like truthful, but in like the dickheadish way that only children are truthful.
Yes.
And I wrote down the sneezing on the sweater when she opened Rocco's gifts, and she was like, "Another sweater," and she like sneezed on it. That, and then flicking the water at her friend at the
Oh my
restaurant, and then spitting the wine at her from between her teeth. I was like, "This is all stuff that a little asshole kid would do."
Yes.
Like, I just
So
love
perfect.
that dynamic. They made her so immature and just like.
And
Well, in essence,
and
that is
not
the devil.
diabolical at all.
Yeah.
She was just like petty.
yeah, exactly.
Well, that is the devil, right? I
Like
mean,
a petty
it's very
catty
childish.
18-year-old girl.
Yeah, just childish and
Like a free-spirited, mean person. Like,
Yeah.
And I thought the actress pulled it off really well.
Yeah, she did a good
I-
job.
I think she was the most believable character for someone that was like such a ridiculous caricature.
actually the guy who played Chaser, he was one of the dudes from Twin Peaks, I guess. I don't know.
Really?
I never watched Twin Peaks.
It's on
Me
the
neither.
list.
I've been meaning to.
It is on the list.
The movie had sweet ass music.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, you know what? The music was awesome, and the music was an element that reminded me of Flesh Eating Mothers, too. Like, just that music track that's always there. And it was always there, and it might not have been right for the scene, but it was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they were pretty adamant about putting that in.
Yeah. And I mean, early on, I was joking about like the theme song to the movie that it
Yes.
sounded like a Rick Springfield karaoke track.
Oh, yeah.
And like the more it went on, like usually when I say, "Oh man, this movie's got like a great '80s soundtrack," I usually just mean, "Oh yeah, they managed to afford a Casio keyboard and they just plunked in it for a while," which is good in its own way. But like
Yeah, good
this
enough.
actually, this actually had like a dude creating like a very '80s vibrant soundtrack. It had like elements of like '80s hip hop and '80s
Oh, totally.
like synth. '80s industrial. I don't know, like the whole thing felt really cool.
It was
Hair metal?
It was very
Yeah,
successful.
lots of hair
for me.
metal. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah, so overall, I would say the movie had some successes. It did a pretty good job in some aspects. The glitter pile, I mean, the effects of the glitter pile, very appropriate.
Glitterly glitter.
Very appropriate for the time. All the other transformation and zipping laser effects of, people moving fast and the devil entering your body, all that stuff was super cheesy.
I felt like the cheesy effects totally lended to the overall feel of it as well.
Totally
like
agree.
when she zapped her and it was just like squiggly paint lightning coming from her fingers. And then all the dead bodies were awesome. They were just, I wrote down mummy dummy because they were just skeletons that had like paper mache rotten mummy faces.
Yeah.
And every single one of them were like that. Like she sucked the soul out of them, which she did.
She did, yeah. Anything else before we want to go ahead and call out some favorite parts?
I have so many favorites.
Do you?
I have a few.
All right, let's start with you
I have a
then.
few up my sleeve. First of all, I fucking love Rocco. He was awesome. He was just a typical meathead idiot walking around insulting everything. It was his birthday party. He was like, balloons, stupid.
Yeah, these
Cakes.
chips are stupid.
Cake,
Pat's
stupid.
stupid.
His girlfriend's like nagging him the entire time. Like, I blew up every single one of these balloons. Oh my God.
You just want to go to the hockey game. This party's stupid.
But yeah, him and his girlfriend are like bickering, and he grabs a balloon and just pops it, and then she bitches at him and then punches him square in the face for popping it, and then like 5 seconds later kicks him in the face, which I thought was just amazing and unnecessary.
Everyone's always punching each other in the face in this movie.
A lot of punches. A lot of punches.
Yes, everyone is punched so many times.
And it makes the same low quality like punching sound effect every time. It sounds completely out of place.
Yeah, literally in this movie, every time someone should have just rolled their eyes, they were going to get punched in the face instead. My other favorite part was both of the times she got thrown out the window.
Oh, yeah.
first
That was
time-
genuinely hysterical.
It was, I don't remember who kicked her out the window the first time, but she like rolled down the roof and then just like face planted on
Chaser
the lawn.
pushed her out.
Yes. And then she climbed back up, which I thought the second time was even funnier because he grabbed like a vase of flowers and turned around and she was right there. And he like gave her the flowers and she was like, "Aw!" And then he just cracked her in the face with the vase. She like rolled down the roof again. I was like, that was way funnier than I probably should have thought it was.
No, that part was excellent.
It was minorly clever in
Yeah.
a movie full of really dumb gags.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that is like a slightly derivative gag, but they
Yes.
pulled it off so well.
Reminded me of like Looney Tunes or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like someone briefly breaking character out of the dedication to this silly little gag.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
hysterical.
was pleased with that.
Yeah, that was good. Eric, what do you got for favorite parts?
Nuns with guns.
Nuns with guns.
Oh my god. Okay, so they leave Rocco's party so they can go get like a bite to eat at some Italian fancy restaurant. And
Sorry.
Maggie, now overtaken by the devil, offers to drive, and she drives like a lead foot. And she finds a bunch of nuns out on the street and tries to run them down. One of the old nuns does a sweet forward flip to avoid the car.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then takes out a handgun, starts shooting at the car. Then another nun takes out another handgun, starts shooting at the car. Another one takes out a shotgun and starts shooting. Then it just cuts to one shooting an Uzi at the car, and then another one takes out a rocket launcher, misses, and blows up another car. Like that just strikes me as something ridiculous you'd see in an '80s comedy.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
not an airplane level, but maybe like Top Secret or like one
yeah.
of those derivative kind of airplane-ish type movies.
Hot shots.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that was really my favorite part too, but I knew like everyone
Yeah,
was like
we could all say we
calling
loved it.
dibs on it. It was pretty much the best.
It was the
was
best
great.
part. Well, the best part too is like the camera was actually dollying down the line of nuns in one
Yes.
smooth motion, one nun after the other having the bigger gun than the last, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
had
like another Looney Tunes-ish kind of setup.
Yeah,
It's totally just over the top. But I like how it set the stage for us like 30 seconds of nuns talking about how the neighborhood is getting so dangerous.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like the mother superior is like scolding them for being armed, and then they almost get run down by the devil, and then just proceed to destroy her, but not.
But not at all.
But not
Failing, yeah.
weapons of mass destruction that destroyed nothing but a car.
I would say one of my favorite parts of this movie is so he's our chaser character, he's got a big trench coat on, and
Mary Poppins trench.
the Mary Poppins trench, as it's so written down as, and he's randomly pulling stuff out of it constantly, and just like discarding it like immediately. Like, what is this? What? Get rid of this. And this is a beer. Chug chug. And then at one point in time, he's like giving he's got some sort of speech, some monologue going on, and he just pulls out chattering teeth.
He's like, I know what'll stop her. And then he reaches into his jacket and pulls out chattering teeth.
And then he just tosses it. I love a nice chattering teeth gag, man.
Fantastic.
I just love it.
Yeah, this just had like Looney Tunes all over it.
Once another Looney Tunes style gag. Obviously, the success is if they had stuck to the entire theme of the movie being like that and not just attempting to stick everything to the wall. But actually, even if we think about it, the fourth wall stuff we didn't like, but that is also slightly Looney Tunes as well.
True.
Very
I think
true.
they just didn't execute it correctly.
I agree.
Do you think that that's just classic relatable humor and that's why it works?
Yeah, it's derivative stuff. It's stuff that's been done 100 times and then they did it right, and it's just generally funny. It's
Yeah, I agree.
low-hanging fruit kind of stuff, but they did it right, and it was worth it.
True. I agree.
Agreed.
Any other favorite parts before we rate it?
Lobster face.
Oh, shit!
So
I forgot about that.
when the party arrives at the Italian restaurant, they're told that it's going to be a 45-minute wait. So the devil walks up to a table where someone is enjoying a fine lobster dish, and she just snaps her fingers, and the lobster comes to life and latches onto this guy's face. And he just lets out like the greatest. I don't think it was a stock scream, but it sounded like it might have been. Like, for example, all the stock scream sound effects.
Like the Wilhelm scream. And, yeah.
And like all the ones that you might hear in like a game like GoldenEye or something.
Yes.
You've heard them 100 times. I think this was an original one. I think they recorded a great scream. This guy was just like, "Ah!" And then she's just like, tables open over here. I'm like, phenomenal. Like,
No one gave a shit.
no one in the restaurant cared. I love that. Just such 80s cynicism.
Yeah, that
Totally
was great.
agree. Any other? And is that it? Any other favorites? You want to squeak them in before we move on to favorite parts?
I think I'm good here.
Oh, when Rocco's awful girlfriend Alice was yelling at Maggie, the devil, and then because Maggie can just control people with her mind, she makes Alice smash a cake in her own face, which I just thought was hilarious. Again, classic gag.
I'm surprised we didn't see like a spring-loaded boxing glove in this movie.
Oh my god, that would have just put it over the top.
I think it would have.
It would have popped out of his trench coat if it was going to be.
Oh, that would have been great. He pulls open the trench
man.
coat and it's just boing.
I wonder if there's deleted scenes.
Or one of Rocco's presents. She opens it,
Spring.
punches her in the face.
That would be excellent. But let's rate it. You know what? Eric, you start rating.
Like, for as much as we've managed to recall about this movie that was like genuinely entertaining, I think I got to give it a fuck off because the last half of the movie is very boring. It's very heavily laden with like exposition that should have shown up like about 30 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Where it explains the entire plot, and it's
Yeah.
not particularly funny. It's not particularly
It
interesting.
was draggy.
Yeah, I don't really care about the Diane character. I don't care about the Chaser character. Pretty much the entire last half of the movie is the devil not being on screen, and she's the most entertaining character in the movie.
Yeah, they were like,
Totally.
we're going to wander around and look for her for 20 minutes, and then we're going to teleport to another planet, and then you're going to give me like a 10-minute flashback about when you first met the devil, and you were like in a film noir movie.
Yeah, that was
Like, it
weird.
was just so much shit crammed into 20 minutes that I was like, what?
It was very cartoonish. This
Yeah.
thing was very, like, we're just coming to the conclusion this was just a live-action cartoon.
Pretty
It
much,
was
yeah.
very cartoonish.
Yeah, it didn't understand what it should have been for a lot of it, and unfortunately, a lot of it was near the end, so I'm kind of left with a less favorable impression of it than if the whole movie had been like it was at the beginning. I thought the first half hour was really solid.
I can follow that. Britt, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a what the fuck.
You gonna give it a what the fuck?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, it was just bizarre, all over the place, like schlocky, campy ridiculousness. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was amazing. I did get a lot of laughs out of it. It was entertaining. I was engaged by it almost entirely the whole time. I mean, even in the parts that
Yep.
were draggy, I was still like, wow, like how is this movie going to end?
Yep.
But yeah, I would have to give it a what the fuck, like straight down the middle. Like,
Yeah.
it was partially fun to watch, partially a little draggy, so I feel like that's a fair rating.
Yeah, I can buy that, and I'm going to agree with Eric on this one. It gets a fuck off from me for the same reason, and I would say that it's not that the movie was bad in any way, actually. It's one of those, if you like this style of slapstick comedy with some horror elements, it's basically if children were allowed to have adult humor, this would be it.
Yeah.
So if you like that kind of thing, sure, give it a watch. It's silly. I wouldn't deter anyone away from watching it, but I'm still going to give it a fuck off.
Yeah, I do have to remind us that we had a laggy internet connection, and we did watch this movie on YouTube. So there was a few parts where we had to let it buffer, and it made this movie about 40 minutes longer than it should have been.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. That's
but no
why,
fault of its own.
Yeah, I tried not to even involve like the pace of the movie because I know it's skewed.
Yeah,
because of that. So
but on the other hand, it was in Laserdisc quality.
Oh,
with a Z.
Laserdisc.
Terrible.
Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts whatsoever?
I don't know. This didn't really leave with too much of an impression.
Yeah, I would say
I'm not going to think about this movie ever again.
No, I agree, man. Like, this isn't going to linger.
Everyone always hates my movies.
No,
Brittany, it's okay.
It's so weird because I feel like all your movies have such the same vibe so far. Like, I don't know. Maybe you can disagree about society, but I feel like it's the best version of what these movies are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel
I try not to do like too much research either.
That's funny.
Like, I'll skip through it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I need to do less research.
Less research?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, I don't know, maybe, because, like, I read the synopsis, and then, like, I'll look into it a little bit. I mean, I don't spoil the whole thing for myself by any means, but, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to get too good of an idea of what something is before I watch it, and that's just not working out.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I've disliked any of the movies you picked.
Yeah, same. I think they've actually all gotten fuck-offs, which is not as bad as it sounds.
Which is like a D.
Excuse me.
No.
Society did get a shunt yes from me.
Oh, that is true. It's true. We did a harsh shunting. All right, so that is it. You've been listening to Second Class Cinema. We watched Girlfriend from Hell. She's back from hell. Father Aaron. No work of God.
No work of Damon.
No work of Damon.
No double at sea.
No Damon of the Sea. We watched this movie on YouTube tonight, and apparently it's also on Laserdisc.
Go to your local Savers, look in the vinyl section. They might have accidentally stocked it there.
Like some other movies we've seen. Yes, Heat being one of them. If you would like more information, we're on Facebook. Facebook.com/Second Class Cinema. We're on Twitter at 2ND Class Podcast. That's the number 2, ND Class Podcast. You can email us at secondclasscinema@gmail.com. We're on YouTube as well. Find us on Podbean. We have some cool stuff on the Podbean site. We have a gift catalog, and we have all the movies we've watched embedded on a page on our site, so you can kind of follow along if you'd like.
Sit there for 16 hours and waste your life.
Waste your life away, just like we do. For you, by the way, because we are your B-movie buffer.
You don't have to, because we do it for you.
Exactly. We tell you whether or not it's worth watching. That's our job. We're going to give you the skinny.
Or the chubby, depending on the movie.
What movie gave me a chubby? Society gave me a chubby. That's for sure.
It made me pop a high one.
That's right. Fantastic news. And
breaking news: Eric Marks pops a high one.
And just so we all know, next month is going to be what we call Cult Month, and that's going to be where we do the most popular cult movies. We're going to do things like Miami Connection. We're going to do Samurai Cop. A couple other movies that we know we're going to pick. We'll won't spoil them all for you, I guess. But basically, the most popular movies in the cult universe, we're going to do them. We haven't done those yet, so we'll also be having special guests on for the entire duration of Cult Month. We'll have a rotating seat, so you'll be able to hear a lot of different perspectives and opinions. Always good.
I'm excited.
I'm excited,
very
too.
Excited. I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. We're really excited about it. That's it, and we'll see you later.
Later.
Good night.
God, what happened to those guys?
She sucked their souls.
You're kidding.
Look at them. Oh, you think they got this way from just a blowjob?